he said there would also be wars and rumors of wars, commotions, distress among the nations. And when we look at the world today, there's wars everywhere. There's wars in Africa and Asia, Nigeria, Sudan, the Congo, Somalia, and Africa and Asia. We've got ISIS, we've got Afghanistan, we've got Syria, Israeli, Palestinian conflicts, Egypt, Pakistan, Yemen. These are countries that are at war now, right now, in the world.
De jeunes qui voulaient ouais Haïti sortir dans niveau lié parce que l'état nous gagne en Haïti son l'état qui effondré son l'état qui corrompu.
qofka bini'aadanka waxyaabo dabeecad uu leeyahay jirto qofka uu ka cabsanaya markuu ka tago oo iska dhacsiina inuu guulaysto maxaa yeelay sayaan waxaa waaye qofka ugu weyn oo membarka ugu dambeeya oo la dagaalamaya inay Ameerikaan yihiin haddii ay Ameerikaanka guulaystaan inay wada guulaysteen haddii lagu guuldareystaan ay guuldareysteen laakiin isma dhahaayaan haddii Ameerikaan oo dagaalka joojiyeen markaas jaarisyo badan dadka meesha allaala haddii xamar dhexdeeda soo amba waxaa la mid Soomaaliya dhexdeeda ay tahay meel allaala meeshii dana Maraykan wax lagu waxyeelay karo habeen maalmo usoo jeedaan oo inay waxaa la iska dhiciyaan waxaa yeelay dagaalka waa la iskula jira inay ku sii xasuuqaan inay u suurtagelinayso waxyaaba looga cabsanayana badanaa waxay ahayn diyaaradaha kor socday ahayn hubkooda amba infentrigooda ma ahayn marka awooddaas ay u cabsi jireen dalab haddii awoodii diyaaradihii iyo waxaa la dagaaladii lala qaadayay meesha ay ka baxaan iyo Soomaaliya lala dagaalamo wax ma dhaamaan sida waxaa badanaa ay ka cararaan waa guuxa diyaarad.
A renewed offensive by M23 fighters in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has forced hundreds of thousands of people from their homes. There are reports of extrajudicial killings, torture, and rape.
Was there ever a need to be in Somalia to begin with?
I would say yes. It's important that the international community be engaged in Somalia. Al-Shabaab's a threat to the international community. It's a threat to the United States. It is, just to be clear, it is part of Al-Qaeda. And Al-Qaeda has already proven the will and the ability to attack the West and the United States.
Hey folks, Eric Stakelbeck here. Welcome to the Watchman Newscast. It was a very busy weekend for the Iranian regime, not only threatening to assassinate a former U.S. president, but unveiling a new cruise missile that it says can reach not only Israel, but U.S. ships in the region. Now, remember, President Trump ordered that drone strike against Soleimani as he got off a plane in Baghdad, Iraq. He was eliminated. An arch terrorist, probably the most dangerous terrorist in the world. And President Trump ordered his elimination. Iran's attempts to assassinate former Trump administration officials here on U.S. soil. Among those officials, Mike Pompeo, the former Secretary of State, who you've seen here on The Watchman. This general's comments over the weekend, basically, he didn't go into too much detail, but what he did said was, Allah willing, his words, we will kill Trump, Pompeo, and the military officials who made the call to eliminate Qasem Soleimani.
Protests erupted throughout the Islamic world after the public burning of a Quran in Sweden last month. The Islamic State terror group on social media has called for revenge attacks on Christians worldwide. The threat of ISIS has returned, and Western intelligence agencies are on the lookout for any signs of a terrorist attack. Security expert Eric Karen says that in the Middle East and Asia, ISIS never went away.
They control 6 million people in that region. They have franchises throughout the world. We're talking probably around 25 franchises throughout Africa and Europe and here in America.
A recent United Nations report also shows the ISIS threat increasing. ISIS is encouraging Muslims to use any method to kill Westerners, including trucks and nail guns. Karen believes the U.S. could be very vulnerable to a major terrorist attack.
With ISIS, it's, well, how good of a Muslim are you? And if you don't measure up to our version of Islam, well, then we're entitled to kill you. If you're an infidel, death is the easy way out, but more likely we're going to enslave all your women and treat them however we want, and we'll kill all your men.
Israel's military says it has carried out airstrikes on militant targets in Gaza. The strikes come hours after rockets were launched from the Palestinian territory. Israel says 3 out of 5 rockets were intercepted by the Iron Dome air defense system. No casualties have been reported on either side.
We're going to turn now to North Korea and some wild new claims about the country's military capabilities. The government there released images supposedly showing a new underwater nuclear device that the leadership says could create, get this, what it calls a radioactive tsunami.
Good morning. Well, we are witnessing an escalation of violence in Syria directly involving U.S. forces. U.S. officials say that a base in Syria used by the American military came under rocket fire this morning. During Syria's 12-year-long civil war, Iran's been closely allied with the Syrian regime. These images are believed to show the aftermath of some of the U.S. strikes. They were retaliation for a drone attack yesterday on a base used by U.S. personnel in northeastern Syria.
Pentagon to shoot it down on Wednesday as soon as possible.
How likely is it? How prepared are we? And at what cost for us and the world?
Use all your imagination. Think about all the nightmares you can think of. And what will happen will be 10 times more than your worst nightmare. You are talking about the possibility of Armageddon.
I just want to make China understand that we are not going to step back. We are not going to change any of our views.
So are you saying that the United States would come to Taiwan's defense if China attacked?
Yes, we have a commitment to do that.
Those who want to block China's unification with China's Taiwan will be doomed to failure. A war between China and the United States will soon escalate out of control, and that will be Armageddon, Armageddon, and Armageddon.
Chinese officials are framing their trip to Moscow as, quote, a mission of peace. Katie McFarlane with us now. China says they're a peacemaker. Do you believe them, Katie?
No, China's figured this out so that they win no matter what happens. If they can negotiate a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia, well, China is now the new international global minister of peace in the new Chinese world order. I mean, I think these are really dark days that no one in Washington seems to be worried about. You know, the Chinese have positioned themselves in such a way where they're telling the world, look, we're the future. America's the past. America's in decline. Come with this new Chinese world order, and here's what we'll give you. We'll build you a 5G internet. We'll give you an infrastructure where you can have it dominated by artificial intelligence, which we'll provide. And by the way, you get to keep your own system of government. We'll bribe a few leaders along the way, and we'll not be like these virtue signaling Americans who want you to, you know, have the woke cultural agenda, which is widely unpopular in the global South, in South America and Africa, and in the Asia Pacific southern region. And the Chinese, you know, they're making a lot of really strategically smart moves. While what are we doing? We're just focused on the on the cultural civil wars in the United States and the woke agenda.
Yeah. Who would have thought a new world order led by China? Who would have thought? I mean, good Lord.
كل الشباب جوا ميتين ولا حدا تساعد فيهم. الله اكبر عليكم، شو تستنوا؟ ما خلوش بنت ولا ضربوها لنا جوا. المسجد القبلي كلها تتكسر.
Even Lapid referred to the aftermath of Israel's 2005 unilateral withdrawal from the Gaza Strip.
In less than a year, Hamas, a murderous terror organization, came to power. Since we left Gaza, over 20,000 rockets and missiles have been fired at Israel. All of them at civilians, all of them at our children. Iran has declared time and time again that it is interested in the total destruction of the state of Israel. And this building is silent.
Lapid added if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, he believes it would use it.
The only way to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon is to put a credible military threat on the table. And then, and only then, to negotiate a longer and stronger deal with them.
Scenes include women burning their hijabs and protesters attacking the police.
These demonstrations follow others in 2019, as well as from 2017 through 2020. Many wonder whether these protests could potentially lead to overthrowing the regime.
As we all know, the regime is brutal and people are left alone by the international community. They need support.
Yet instead of criticism, the UN General Assembly provided a platform this week to Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, also known as the Butcher of Tehran.
Who is really known for the massacre in 1988, that he ordered the death of thousands of innocents. But now he is given a global stage. Now Europeans, the leaders of the free world, are shaking hands with the terrorists, and they leave Iranian innocent people by themselves alone instead of supporting them as they seek freedom. They're gonna fund their proxies, they're gonna empower forces, IRGC, police, Basijis inside the country to kill their own people.
The Jewish sage Maimonides from the 12th century said throughout the first and second temples there were 9 red heifers. He said the 10th would signal the appearance of the Messiah. That's why many are excited about this arrival.
And then rumors of wars. Most people are scared to death that World War III is coming. A lot of people that aren't even Christians understand that war is imminent, that World War III is looming on the horizon. Now this war is predicted in the 6th trumpet of Revelation, and we're going to study that in another video series, but it is going to happen. It's just the timing of it that we're waiting for. We're waiting for that to happen. There's problems with China. China has been an issue for decades. They've issued threats. They said they would not hesitate to use nuclear weapons against the United States were it necessary. They've said that they would sacrifice to ensure unity of China. And there's tensions with North Korea. China is what I call the sleeping giant. They've been increasing their military budget by 10% per year for decades. And they've got bases, hidden bases, they've got a lot of military might that they don't claim to have, but they have it. And that's why I call them the sleeping giant. They're waiting for their opportunity. And then Iran is really the hotbed in the Middle East. Iran is just trying their hardest to obtain nuclear weapons so that they can nuke Jerusalem and Israel and wipe Israel off the map. That's their goal. They want to do that so badly, and they're doing everything they can to take out Israel. And we know it's not going to happen. We know that when Jesus returns, it's going to be because the Antichrist is going to be bringing the nations of the world down against Israel at the very end to wipe out Israel. And that's when Jesus is going to actually return and touch down on the Mount of Olives. and wipe out the armies coming against Israel.
China has ramped up World War III tensions with simulated air and sea strikes on Taiwan in what the country's leader Xi Jinping described as a stern warning.
So unlike Ukraine, to be clear, sir, U.S. forces, U.S. men and women would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion.
Yes. A nuclear attack by North Korea against the United States or its allies or partisans or partners is unacceptable and will result in the end of whatever regime were to take such an action.
Третья мировая уже рядом.
Are you ready for World War III? The chairman of NATO's military committee says the U.S., Canadian, and European alliance is ready for a direct fight with Russia.
Hello, I'm Michelle McCory, and you are watching Kitco News. World War III has already begun, and it is about to get a lot worse.
Well, on the subject of China, it's issued a grim warning for a possible World War III following Russia's announcement to deploy nuclear weapons in Belarus.